Alright, what's up everybody? So today we're going to try my first video here. My main purpose here is showing my classmates here in school, as I'm also a student doing this, but if other people on the internet see these and find them helpful, feel free to comment, ask questions on things maybe you want to see. I can try and make a video. I'm just a student. I just really like using Revit, and I'm happy to try and help other people. I'm definitely still learning it myself, but this is going to be geared towards people who don't know it at all or very little. Starting from the very beginning, I'm not going to start from a project like one of the ones on screen. We're just going to start from the beginning, try to go over basic tools, functions, how to navigate, and work our way through. I'll start building a little house probably, and if people want to continue it, I'll just continue along, try to expand on it to show more tools and features of Revit. So I've got 2023, the current version. Once you open it here, you've got models and families. Families are like files within Revit, so maybe a chair or a couch or something. And then models is your actual project. So I'm going to go to new, pop up here. We're going to go Imperial just because that's where, for those watching in America. And construction is going to give you just a bunch more views for structural elements that we're not really going to mess with. It's more advanced. So we're just going to go architectural here and click OK. So now that it's open here on screen, it looks like a lot. It's really not that bad. There's going to be a lot of stuff that I don't even cover, or if I continue this as a series, I take a while to cover. Starting off with the basics. So on the left here, you have your properties browser. This is your main navigation tool on how you can navigate between plans, modify some of your visibility settings in here. There's some important ones in here that will get covered. And then your main drawing screen is right here. Down at the bottom, a couple important things. You have your scale. This is mostly for when it comes time for plotting. This is the scale it's going to plot at. For drawing purposes, you can leave it. The square here is your detail level. I always like to set mine to fine because when it comes to drawing something like a wall, if you have it as the very basic, as coarse, you're not going to see anything in the wall. If you put it to fine, you'll see the different layers in a wall. And then next to that, the cube, this is your graphics. So hidden line is just black and white. Shaded is going to show you colors for material. And then realistic is going to be like a step in between here and rendering, trying to show you what the materials are going to look like. A couple of these icons here I honestly don't really mess with, or I don't need to mess with right now. This one here, the glasses, temporary hide isolate, that's a very useful tool that I'll show you pretty quickly. And so from there, at the top, these are all your different tabs for drawing. Your main tab is going to be your architecture. That's where all your components, your walls, your building stuff is at, as well as a couple other things here. Insert, this is more how you load in things. So if you're loading in a topography, you can do that through this. If you need to load a new family that you've downloaded off the internet or something, you can load a family. Annotating, it's kind of what it says. It's a lot of dimensioning. You can use it to mark stuff. Analyze, I've actually never used this tab. Massing is kind of like a in Revit version of Rhino. It lets you draw masses that you can use to create stuff. And you also have your site components here with your topography, some parking, and some site things. And then when you make a topography, you can split it and do some other stuff there. Collaborate, I've also never used as well. View, it's going to be some of your visibility settings as well as different views, or you can make new views here and new sheets for when it comes to printing purposes. Your manage tab, this is more settings, additional settings, line styles, that's an important one. Materials over here on the left, that's pretty useful when it comes to actually rendering. You can kind of see these are some default materials within the software, but you can create new ones, add your own images, all kinds of stuff there. That'll be a later thing. Add-ins, also something I've not really messed with much. There's a lot of stuff you can add to Revit as it expands. And then quantification, again, I've not messed with that one there, but it does look like you can use it for rooms and areas, which is pretty useful, such as our project we're working on now, where there's dorms. And then your modify tab, this is kind of after you draw something, this is where you go to make changes or edits, stuff like that. So we're just going to start, like I said, and then there's some tools saved up here. You can adjust what's up here. Just kind of leave it. There's only one other tool that I would maybe add up here, but for now, I'm just going to leave it as it is. So we're going to start on drawing here. So we have preset, it's level 1, level 2 in sight. We'll add another level. I'll show you how to do that, and as well as dimensioning your levels. For now, we're just going to work with this. On screen here, these little tabs here are your elevation markers. That's just kind of your views. So if you draw something really big, you can just click and drag these to move them out. That moves your elevation views here so you can see more. I'm going to leave it where it was for now, so Control Z to undo. Or you can always go up top here. You have an undo, and you can see everything you've done here. So if you have a bunch of commands, it'll be a long list. You can click which one you want to go back to. And same for redo, if you need to redo something that you didn't mean to undo. All right, so we're going to start. We're just going to go to a wall. You've got architectural and structural. It's more of when you get to like specific stuff, but if you draw a wall, you can always make it architectural or structural just by checking a box. So we're just going to go with a wall. I'm going to go ahead and pick one for exterior that has a material for materials later on. Let's go with the brick here. And so now you can see there's a bunch of stuff here, and also on the top here, there's some information. We're going to start with the top. So height, I don't really mess with that there because it's easier to mess with your wall height right here. The main thing up here is going to be this one, your location line. This is where you're drawing from. So right now it's going to be the center line. If you want to draw from, say, the inside of the wall, so that way your measurements are already set to the interior, then you can do that. I'm just going to go with center line for now. And then offsetting just like raises it off the ground where it's being drawn. We're going to leave that. And then chaining, that's like if I click and drag a wall, it's going to stop drawing a wall there. Or if it's on like it is now, it's going to keep, I can keep going with walls. And then join status, you want your walls to join so they can be connected, or if you don't want them to, you can turn it off. So we're going to leave it. So we're going to go back to height. So right now, base constraint level 1, that's the plan I'm on. That's ground level. Top constraint is set to unconnected, but I want it to go to level 2. I want this wall to go up to my next level. So you can see I changed it there, and now it's at 10 feet. That's where the second level is preset to. Unconnected just means it's not going to be connected to level 2. If you were to change the height of level 2, you can just draw the wall to however tall you want. But we're going to do this because we're going to build a house. So you can click apply or leave it. You can see it automatically did it there. I'm just going to come out here, click and drag. And if I were to scroll in here, you can kind of see the layers there in the wall. Whenever you draw it, it's going to actually solidify them. So I'm just going to click because I want to see. So I can see right now, you can kind of tell what the layers are. The thin one here is your drywall. But if I go down here, like I was talking about earlier, and I change it to shaded, so now I can see, so this is the brick over here, and that one is the drywall. I want it to be the other way because I'm on the left side here, and I'm going to make this the inside. So I just click on the wall and click that, and it flips it. So now we're going the other way. So go back to the wall tool. We're just going to click on this corner. We're going to bring it over. I'm just going to, you can drag, or when you have it in the direction you want to go, you can type in a number. If I just type 40 and hit enter, it's going to automatically assume feet. If you want it in inches, you need to type in the symbol. Or say I want like 40 feet, 5 inches. If I just do 40 space 5, it's automatically going to go feet to inches. So I just want 40 feet. I'm just going to press enter. Now that I've got those two, this one's just going to show me where they intersect. So I can just click and I can come over. And now I have my 4 walls. So that first wall, how it drew it the opposite way at first. When you're drawing a wall, say you click and drag and you can see that it's going the other way, you can press the space bar here and it's going to flip it if you want to change which side is your inside and outside while you're drawing. You can always change it after. Now that I have my four walls drawn, you can see they're kind of off to the left here. It doesn't really matter, but I just want it to be centered. I can either click and drag and select all my walls, or I can use the tab key to cycle. So I can tab, it shows all my walls highlighted. I can click them, drag it over. Tab is going to be really useful when it comes to what you're selecting. And once I add a floor in here, you'll be able to see that better. So now we're going to go to, we got the walls, we've moved it, we're going to dimension it. So up top here, this little tool, you can see it pops down align dimension. And then if you hold it a little bit more, it's going to kind of show you what it does on any tool you highlight. This is useful because I drew from the wall center line, so it didn't give me an interior dimension. It's just the wall dimension overall. I wanted it dimension from the inside space. So I'm going to go, right now it's at a line dimension. That's going from like this wall to this wall that are parallel to each other. Linear would be if I wanted to measure like the length of this wall. I can do an angle to measure the angle, click between the two walls here. Right now I just need aligned. And so you can see it's automatically picking the center line of the wall. That's because this is what it's set to. You can change it to where it automatically goes to the wall face there, or if it's on center lines, tab key, like I said earlier. So I can highlight, I want the inside, so I'm just going to go near it and tab, and then it's going to shift to the inside wall. And the same thing here, it automatically goes to my center line because that's what it's set to. I can just tab inside the wall, and now you can see I can take this up and drop it. I'm going to do the same thing on my top wall here, tab to get the inside, down to the bottom, and boom. And before I go further, I skipped the most important one, moving around. So to move around, like I was doing there, you're going to take your scroll wheel and your mouse and click it in, and that's what lets you click and drag. And then when you're in 3D view, we'll go to that real quick. So your little house up top here, that's your 3D view. As you can see, it's set to the basics again. I'm going to change it to fine and shaded because I want to see materials. You can also do hidden, and it's going to keep it black and gray, or black and white. So I hold shift and right click, and I can spin around whatever way I want to. And then same thing, scroll wheel, click it in to navigate that way. So go back to level 1, you can click up here, or you can go to your browser here, level 1. So we're going to get these dimensioned. So I want it 40 by 40 inside. All you got to do, so I can click this wall here, and as you see, my dimension I made lights up, and this pops up because I can see everything. If I were to zoom in here and just click the wall, it's not in my view. It's still there, but either way, it's going to highlight this one here all the time. Sometimes this one doesn't pop up, or as you can see, this is going off of the center line and the outside line. I don't want that. I can click and drag these here if I want to. I can take this dot. Nope, not the wall. I can take this dot and change it. So I can tab and go to the center or inside. Same thing here, tab and there. So now the one that pops up is also set. But see, you can see there, it resets itself. So I never use that. I use my align dimension tool. I can click and drag the wall and move it. Easiest thing now that it's highlighted. Whichever wall you click is the one that's going to move. So this is going to be the wall that moves. I'm going to type 40 and enter. Do the same thing here. I want 40, enter. Now I have 40 by 40 interior. I don't want these, so I'm just going to click and delete, and they're gone. So now I have my exterior walls. So let's go to 3D here. And now in 3D, you can kind of see those view markers. That's your levels. If you want to change them or modify them, you're going to need your elevation views, one of these. So I can click and double click that, and you see it took me to my north view from up there. Or I can go over here and open one of these and see it there. So once I'm here, same thing here. And it only does this the first time you go to a view. Once you've opened it once, it's going to keep that. So you can see here level 2 is at 10 feet. Since my walls are drawn as connected to level 2, if I change this, the walls are going to change. So if I go 12 feet, it takes the wall with it. And then I can also use this here. I'm going to take it back to 10 for now. And so this is how you can adjust your floor heights. And it's also where you can make new ones. So I'm going to go to level 2, click it, and then right click, hit create similar here. And it's always going to start this drawing from this end, this tail end here. So I'm going to start here. I want 10 feet again. Bring it over to line up. And so now you see I have level 3 at 20 feet here. And if you look over here, it's generated your level 3 floor plan and your level 3 ceiling plan already. And so now, say I were to take this wall and I want it to go to level 3, I can hit apply. And now that wall goes to level 3. Let's go undo. Go back to level 1. And so, like I said earlier, the tab key, you could also do that way. Tab, select all my walls, make them up to level 3, and now they all go up to level 3. For now, I'm just going to keep them at level 2, so I'm going to go back and change it and hit apply. So now we're going to do a floor. Floor has the same thing as architecture and structure. That other one there, the face, that's if you were to do a massing and then apply a floor to it. I'm not worried about that right now. I don't care if it's structural. I'm just going to click that. And then over here, you have your preset options. I'm going to go ahead and pick one that has a material just so I have a material to work with. And then up top here is your drawing. So this blue-ish color that popped up is now within your drawing a floor setting. It's going to automatically be set to picking by the walls here. You could also pick a line if you have lines set in your floor plan view that you want your floor to go off of, or you can custom draw with all these different tools here. I'm just going to go with pick walls because this is really basic. Click them. You can see this little thing here. I can switch where it was at. But either way, if I were to draw this right now and hit check, the floor is not going to come out to the edges of these walls. So there's going to be a gap. I'll show you here. So I go back to my 3D view. So you can see there's a gap. And it doesn't really matter, but for the sake of it looking good, I don't want that. And so I'm going to go back in here. So level 1, if I'm just on this right here, I can click and there's my floor. But what I was talking about the tab key. So if I'm over here, I can tab, select all the walls, tab again, back to this wall. And if I try and bring it to the edge here and cycle through a tab, there you can see I can click the floor that way too. So I'm going to go edit. I want my floor just to be inside. So I can just click and drag these lines here. Bring them to the inside of the drywall. And check. Go back to 3D. So now you can see they're at the insides of the wall. And what I'm going to do to fix that, take my wall here. It's going to give it a base offset when you do this. If you know the size of this, which is a 10-inch, then you could just enter it. Or you can take your wall, click it, take the little arrow here, drag it down, and it'll snap, and you can do that. And then you could do that with every other wall. Or I can just take this wall. I can see it's a negative 10 3/4. So I can highlight the wall, tab to select them all. You can see it's varying because that wall is different than the others. So I can just click minus 10 3/4 inch, apply, and now all my walls come down so that you don't see the floor separately. So now I have some walls and a floor. I'm going to go back to level 1. I don't need this open, so I can close it. And if you close this, you can always go back to it. You can navigate this way, or you can navigate over here, toggle between stuff, doesn't matter. So now I want to put a ceiling or a roof. But if I put it on here on level 1, it's going to be wrong because it's going to apply it to level 1, which is at 0, that ground level. Now you can draw it on level 1 and change the level it's attached to here before you actually complete it. Or I can just go to level 2 here and draw it from here. And so now that I'm on level 2, you can see what's below me, but it is grayed out. I can change my settings here, but it's not going to do anything. That is where your visibility or your view settings come in on the left here. So right now, scroll down. Underlay is your main one that you're going to look at when it comes to your view settings on wanting to see or not see what's below you. Right now it's set to level 1 is the base and level 2 is the top, which is why I can see this stuff. If I were to just turn it off, hit none, and apply, it's gone because I'm only seeing what's on level 2 now. But I do want those there, so I'm going to go back to that, hit apply, and I can see it. And I can even go to level 3 here, set level 1 to my base, and my current level, level 3 to my top. I can still see it. I'm going to go ahead and undo that for now because we're not going to mess with that. And so that's how you can mess with a lot of your viewing. If you do that and say something still isn't popping up, then there's two other things that could be the problem. The first one, which gets a little confusing, is your view range. So if I open this, you see all these different levels here with offsets. If you hit show, it's going to kind of explain it to you. It's a little bit tricky to mess with, but you can do that to control where you're actually cutting and seeing. Or if something isn't showing up, the other problem could be your visibility settings here. So on level 2, like right now, all these are checked. If I were to uncheck floors and hit apply, I can't see the floor anymore. So I'll go back and obviously I want that showing, recheck it. So that could be another reason maybe something isn't showing up when you're drawing is because of your view settings in there on what is and isn't visible, or your view range and your cropping, which is in your view range setting. So level 2, we're going to make a roof. Easiest way is by a footprint. That's like going by the outsides of the walls, as you can see there. And you have more detail items you can put on there. We're going to go with a footprint. And then I want one with a material again. And same thing as a floor. You can see it's already preset to pick walls. I'm just going to do that because it's quick and easy. And you can see it's on the outside, which I want. Now that I have this selected right now, I can just escape key to where I don't have this selected. So I can go back to my regular cursor while I'm still in here. So these little triangles that you see here, that means this wall line or this roof line defines the slope. So if I were to uncheck it, then there's not going to be any slope there. So there's not really going to be a roof because of the setup here. So I'll show you right now. This reason it looks like that is because the whole view range. So your roof isn't actually cut. That's just because of the settings. Go to 3D. So you can see I can go ahead and edit here. I'll show you what I'm talking about. So if I were to click this wall up top here, take away defining slope and recheck it, now it's not defining the slope. So there is no wall there. So there is no roof there. And the wall looks weird. So I'm going to do it on the other side. And when I do click that, if you want it slope, you can see there, you can see the slope settings or the slope of the roof. You can change that too if you want it less steep or more steep. So I'm going to do that. So maybe you want your house like this. And so it's obviously the wall. If I were to just take this up to level 3 here, that's not right. So what I'm going to do, a really useful tool, click the wall and go up top here. You can click edit profile. So on my little cube here in 3D, you could do this in a section view or an elevation view. I'm just going to do it here in 3D for now, but I will show you how to do a section after. So I'm editing the profile of the wall. I'm editing the shape basically. So I'm going to take my top line here and delete it. And up top here, I'm going to take the line tool and draw. And so I want this wall to go all the way up to the top. So I'm going to click, make another one. So I've messed around with this earlier. We'll see what it does whenever I draw it like that, because I did not do this earlier. And I want to see if it gives me the same problem. So check, and boom. So it didn't. So now you can see, it did. So that right there, we do not want that. So let's go to our level 1. There's a few things you can look at when you have something like this. So that right there is joined, but it's not connected. So what I can do when you have a wall selected, go up here to geometry and this wall join. So I can click that, highlight, you can see it pops up a little box. And it has allowed join, but it's grayed out. So that means something is going wrong in there. I can turn it off and then turn it back on to see if it fixes it. I still didn't do it. So when it does stuff like this, when you go to editing wall profiles, it's kind of just a matter of playing around with it to see what gets it to connect, because we can see the other side did it just fine, but not this side. So I could try just dragging it to the corner, go back to my 3D, and so you can see it's there, but now this is wrong. So let's go back to our edit profile, go to our front view, bring it back to our center line there where it toggled. I can bring this back and bring this back. And then I need to fix my top. Let's see, is there anything different? No. So click my check. You can see it's doing it again. So we could try take this. We can just delete it. Drag that one out. Check. So now you see it's really wonky. Don't want that. So what do we have here? Anytime. So this is like one of the things where sometimes Revit can be frustrating because you want it to do something, but it's programmed to make something that works. And so you get all these errors. Usually, if something like this pops up, you can just tell it to like remove the constraints. It's kind of like unlocking it in a sense, and it lets you kind of go back to what you're doing. So we're gonna try just making this a basic wall. Again, remove because it's wanting to snap to the center line, and we don't want that. Take it to all of our edges. Green check. Oh, yep. See, so if it's not closed, bring it up. Now check. Oh, again, not closed. Do it again. So now we have our wall. And then if I scroll, you can kind of see it's like overlapping a little bit. That's something again where you just kind of gotta play around with it. Maybe bring this wall just into the end of it. And so now they are joined better, but you have that gray spot. A way to kind of see if it's a real issue, change your view settings to realistic once it loads. So now you can see like it is. If I were to render this, it's going to render the end of the wall like that. Go back to shaded. So one thing I could do, I can go to my profile, I could edit it. And I could keep tweaking this right here. So I can maybe do this, see what it does. Yep, we don't want that. We can go back to our profile. Easiest thing is going to just be bringing it out, not like that. Let's undo. Re-edit because Revit likes to automatically do stuff for you sometimes. Fix what we just fixed earlier. And while I'm doing it this way, you could also just go through your undo options and like keep undoing back to different versions of this that you basically had. Doesn't really matter which. And so you could do this and you could do the same thing over here with your walls to give you a roof like this. And another thing would probably be taking your roof to the inside edge and adding it that way and putting an overhang on it. But that's a little more complicated. And for now, I actually don't want a roof like this anyway. I just want to show you some of the tools as well as some of the issues that can come up when you are using the tools. So we're going to go click this wall. I can go to the top here, just reset. All right, my recording cut off, but we're back. So as I was saying, we're gonna go back to the way the roof was. So I deleted that wall profile, set it back to the original, went into my roof editing. I'm just gonna click back on these walls, turn on my defining slope so I have a regular roof here, hit my check, and there we go. So that gives us now where I was going to end up at. So you have just a basic outline, your roof, your floor, some of the commonly used tools. There'll be a lot more as we start to develop this further. If I continue on this, like I said, it's kind of up to if people want to see this more. I'll continue to make more videos. So I'll put these together, end it there, and just let me know. Feel free if you like them. If you don't like them, obviously I'm learning with you because I'm learning how to make the videos. So I'll try and make them however you like them to show you the tools that you're going to need and go forward with it from there.